far to hear, the better anyone would hear you, but that's if anyone even joins.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm kind of tethered to the outlet.
November 5th, 2025 AIPAC meeting. It is 4:34 p.m.
Hi, my name's Amber Greensky. I am the co-chair of the AIPAC committee. It is 4:35, and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. At this point, I don't believe we have any online participants, so we're just going to go around and introduce the people in the room. Can I start with you, Teague?
Yep, Teague, Good Sky, AIPAC voting member.
Lydia Schinkel, parent, AIPAC member.
Emma McNamee, Duluth, Michigan.
Gray Black, American Indian Education Support. Jennifer Murray, community guest.
Eddie, IT for elementary schools and the district service center.
All right, Miigwich, that we're only sitting at 3 parents right now, but that's okay. We're going to move forward with continuing to review the plan. I don't think we have any committee member reports at this point, but I will ask Teague and Lydia if they have anything.
I have nothing.
No, it's fine, because I don't have anything either.
To clarify, Jen, were you the district representative for the purposes of this meeting?
I am contracted with the Duluth School District to assist with the American Indian State Aid Plan and to work with your new Indian Ed coordinator, or is it director?
Hi, Jen.
Okay. Yeah. Just because at the last meeting, because I know that the new coordinator is out on predetermined leave for today, and so I think the question at the last meeting was somebody from the district going to be here? And my understanding was that was like you were going to be filling that role for today.
I said I would fill this role today.
Okay.
Awesome, Miigwich, for that clarification. We do have an online participant I just want to acknowledge. Hi, Jen Garbo. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, Bushu. My name's Jen Garbo, and I'm a parent of a 10th grader at East High School.
Miigwich, Jen. Moving on, the only things on our, because this is our regular scheduled meeting, so we had preset agendas that we talked about back in, I believe, early September. So we are updating on the American Indian Education Application Program Plan and implementation, so that lines right up with what we're doing today. So let's just get to it, right?
Exactly. So where we left off last time was the plan was uploaded for access for people to make comments and changes. I did receive 3 different ones, so we will work with all of that. I went through all 3 of the different comments and suggestions for the plan, and so tonight if we can work through domain by domain or area 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that would be wonderful. You don't have enough for a quorum, or do you not? Do you have a quorum?
No, we would need, let me just double check the bylaws, but I thought we needed 1 officer and 4 parents, and we are sitting at 3.
Correct. Okay.
I will double check.
I'll check that, and if that's the case, then of course we will definitely have to have another meeting to do that. In the meantime, I am going to pass out some things for the members that are in person. Sorry, Jen, I'll have to take you to coffee.
Okay. It's a date.
Jamie told me earlier today she may be attending tonight, so hopefully she comes at some point.
I'm just passing out a few little things, some Asema, great, or great, stress ball, a pen, and a post-it note, just in case. Sometimes meetings get a little, hot.
Thank you.
So as I'm doing this, because I'm a walker talker, the last time we had, plan did have enough in it that was accurate and doable for the state to review. And just keep in mind that we will always have some reviews in things. But now we can really hone in because my priority working with everyone is that the parents have the maximum input, that they're listened to, and then working it out with the district if they don't feel like, that is something in the plan that they don't want to do. So we're on track. How does that sound? Is that the way to put it? Gray is going to help tonight with doing some edits to the one master plan that we did have. Like I said, there was a few rogue folk, which is fine. That's normal. So we're going to start out with Area 1, and that I believe, top of my head, is on page 6. Some of the comments from the various folks was that that would be good to put in our strategic plan. Duluth will have an American Indian specific strategic plan, and that way, as we do different grants and making sure we're abiding by state laws, they're all in there. I just added them.
They were kind of quiet coming in, so.
That's just who I am. Okay. So, Amber, I guess that's on. What would you like to do now? Start on page 6?
Let's start on page 6 and.
And I want to make sure, I know Teague made some comments, Jamie, and then Greensky over here, and JP. I wish JP was here tonight, but maybe he'll come. So what we want to make sure that the district is aware of is that your main points are taken for input, and if you have an idea for a specific goal. The wordsmithing will come later, meaning sometimes we get caught up in exactly how we want to say something, but that isn't really necessary right now, just for the fact, like if we say something like, at least 50% of 11th grade students will take the ACT. We don't have to get into the detail of, the how, what, and all of that. It's just that we're going to target the 11th grade, and if there's 10th graders, great, we'll support that too, obviously. But what's the goal? 50%. What are we going to do to get them there? It might be we have to pick them up in the morning or whatever time. Just having that connection with them, and it's not like we're going to offer. We're not going to offer it like in general. You know how you get an invite on Facebook and then people are upset you didn't show up? Okay, that to me is not how we do things. We need the staff having a list of the 11th grade students and divvy out on who is going to actually talk to them, talk with them. And if the student says, nope, not doing it, then you document that, and at least but invitations aren't in general or in a newsletter. You have to make that connection until they get to know you, right? So it's always a good way to do things. So moving from there, just keep those things in mind.
So, okay, just in this, I got in this particular, how this is written, I'm confused with goals, objective. Like, is our objective the goal that's written there, to provide comprehensive post-secondary preparation and career exploration opportunities for the 681, but that number should be like 766, I think, Indigenous students in Duluth Public Schools, enhancing their readiness for life beyond high school and empowering them to pursue higher education and diverse career paths. I like that as a one goal, right? So that's what I was kind of confused is our goals, our action steps? Is that the goal?
Okay.
And is the goals our action steps?
So typically when teachers are doing lesson plans, right, they have an objective. It's like an overall, what all students will do or be able to do.
Mhm.
So this is what we want to do. And then the goals come into the more specifics, like how are we going to meet that objective. And then from there, you have the goal, which is kind of, it's not vague necessarily. It's like I just said, we want 50% of the, let's say, for the 11th graders to have and take the ACT or SAT. And then your action steps is how are we going to do that? You know, in-person invitations. Do they need to arrive to school that day? Things like that. So that's, you have your overall reach of what you want all students or parents or whomever you're talking about there. And then what kind of goals will help you meet that? And then what do you have to do to reach that goal?
Okay. So then just for the purposes of this plan and this objective, we need to correct that 681 because I believe that was the student count from 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that's going to run, I'm going to circle that, oh, where's my red pen? I'm a red penner, just
Yeah.
so I can differentiate things. We're going to circle that. Oh, I see it. Oh, great. Okay. I circled that because I don't think it is. I want to say.
It's I'm pretty sure it's 766. That's what we say we're eligible. That's what was. It's on what we're eligible for, and they give us the student number. Right on MDE's website.
The other thing is the number might fluctuate. So
Oh,
I would
yeah.
just take it right out.
Okay.
Because what we're talking about is opportunities for Indigenous students.
Just removing the number
Yeah,
entirely.
removing the number because that will fluctuate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a change that, because we're going to change it every year anyway. Okay. Yep. All right.
I guess for me, sorry, I have a sore throat, I'm kind of sick. I would really like to see all these goals be SMART goals, making sure that they're things that are actionable, because really, I think that, I kind of disagreed with this the last meeting, where I felt like we were getting kind of into the details, but actually it does make sense to make sure that we have things written really explicitly so that there isn't like wiggle room, so we know that our students will be getting like services, programs, actually get what they need. So I think that's something we should probably piece through, like making sure every piece of it is smart.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So as we go through that, right? So we have our goals, and then the action steps is the SMART goal to reach that goal. Okay. So when we're looking at the action steps in the area number 1, by May, the district will provide. So will you add? Do you want to add more to that, Teague? Do you think it needs to be more specific?
No, I had my comments, I think, on this document, and as I just went through, those were kind of the things that I was thinking of. I don't know, I don't have too many thoughts about this section.
Yeah. And I guess what is like, and this comes just from talking to other people and comments that they get on their plans, is like specific, having to go back and say, well, how many is 50%? What is that number? And I think we talked about that being 130 plus 44 plus, and then from ALC, I think we looked that up. That was like 9.
Okay, so as we're moving through that, is it on page 6?
Page 6,
Okay,
yeah.
participation.
Rate is 50%. So we're looking at, I guess.
So we need the number of.
Yeah, I know, I get it that it fluctuates through the year, but just saying, yeah, our goal is
Okay, so
75 students, which would be 50%, you know what I mean, or whatever.
So the bullet point there is we need to get the count for 9 through 12.
Yes.
And I think when we were working on it, we went from 56 to 66, 10%, which worked out to be 4 students.
Oh, that was for graduation rate. That's the next, yeah.
High school count.
Oh, yeah, it would be. Okay.
So on that first bullet, then, our goal is a participation rate of 50%.
Yep.
And then we put the number of 9 through 12 grades.
I would love the number. Yeah, I would be happy with the number. And then guidance counselors will assess quarterly and report.
Yeah, so it says right here, our goal is math. So we need how many students in the 12th grade.
Cool.
Yeah, if I'm gonna get 50% of the lottery, I'm gonna want to know the number.
It also is like a good target because my concern is, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds, that the same 20 students go on every additional trip. And it looked like we brought 60 students and it's the same 20 over and over. And I guess that's what I just want to know, that we're not losing the student in.
And that's how we can track. We can do a spreadsheet for the actual students.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we can, how many do they go on, and then match it with the trip. I can't remember what app that's on. There's an app for it.
Yeah.
So some grants that I know the tribes have, they have a participation rate of 260, but there's only like 70 kids. But they count everything that way, and I'm like, but how do we know every student has the opportunity?
Yes. And I like everything you just described. I think those are gorgeous action steps.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, I am satisfied with that first goal. Is there any other additional comments on the first goal regarding supplementary college and career exploration programs? Online, Jen Garbo, just wanting to reach out, make sure you're not. Okay. And then.
Yeah, that one's good.
Okay. And then moving to the second goal, again, just wanting to know what that number is for the 11th grade students so it can be effectively tracked by our liaisons. Obviously, that number fluctuates, and we are aware of that, but like, if we say we bring 44 students, American Indian students in the 11th grade, or you know what I mean, reach out for that ACT.
Right, if you have 111th grade students.
Yeah.
And that was the big question there was, what kind of percentage do we want to put on that for sure? And how do we know? And that's where we talked about the 11th graders. If they choose to opt out, then you document it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, that's like the supported and offered, where it's like.
Some people read supported and offered as we sent out an email. You should have read it. It's not that personal. Like, to opt out, I'd have to go, Lydia, we have this thing, and you're like, I ain't going there. Right. And so I would mark. Lydia decided not to. Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to say no to something in person, too.
Support fees related to
Are we on page 7?
We're on page 7 and just kind of reading through.
So all of those other things taken out then after that?
Help me out, Amy.
So after where you did action steps and activities, like are all these other red and purple things in there coming out, or are those
The red and
just
purple
different?
is what it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about, so third paragraph where it says action steps, activities, and then the next paragraph where it says by May 2026, the district will provide, are we taking all that part out?
No. Those are all the things that the people have commented on and why they met. So anything in color is in addition to.
Okay. So here's where I hear what Jamie's saying, and this is where I get a little bit confused when we talk. Is it the district? The district will provide college and career fair visits because they already do it, right? And school staff will collaborate and coordinate on those college visits. The action step is defining what the district will do.
Right.
Okay.
And our part,
And
Indian education, is we're gonna provide those 3 additional trips.
That is on the next page.
Okay.
Yeah, when people commented on it, they wanted more like clarity for it, very more specific on each role. And
Yeah.
once we roll this into a strategic plan, I was talking to Amber earlier, is we'll have the domains or the areas, and then we'll have the big strategic plan. And then that way we can identify who in the district is actually like, who are the school counselors? I don't know. But then we can take that part out and any part that they're responsible for, and we can get that to them, so then they know, like, oh, I'm a part of this, and this is my role in it.
But we have to have this first before we can turn it into.
Right, well, once this is approved, like Anthony, I would assume, and John would have a conversation. And then also, I would invite them to the meetings, especially the high school ones. I would invite them so they can get to know faces and see what you're all about, what you want to do. But once the plan is solidified, then that's when we track to make sure people know their roles and responsibilities. Jamie and Tori, what does this look like from your, like where you're at in the district? So when you're planning college visits, where does the funding actually come from? It comes from the state grant, but how does it track? The guidance counselor for schools are supposed to track the college visits under the college and career readiness, which is in state statute, and that is attached with the budget item. And also, I don't know if Duluth has any grants right now, but I know Get Ready is going to be pushing out a grant for schools to apply for college and careers. So they have to have that in there. And the other thing I would also look at is what does achievement and integration have in their plan for college and careers. So, and that's where we can start doing more collaborative work with who else is responsible in the district that has these same goals. I guess my question is, so we have $3,000 set for 2 additional college visits. How is that allocated and how is that tracked? That would go through the 3 specific ones that the American Indian Education Program staff will be taking the students.
can we put that in under the funding request so it's super clear? 2 additional college visits or career fairs planned by our American Indian homeschool liaisons.
Okay, so you have to let us know where you're at.
Okay.
I feel like we're jumping around now.
Yeah,
Down in funding request.
okay.
Keep going further down. Up, that one right there. And then just make sure it's clear that these are for our liaisons to use.
2 additional college visits or career fairs planned by.
Yep, planned by our American Indian homeschool liaisons. I just don't, you know.
Does that work from your guys' end?
I think that's okay.
Is that the way you want it worded? Is planned by American Indian liaisons? Is that,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, Teague, is the district might go, oh, we'll just pull out some from their budget for, and I will, and I have, been very clear with, the administration that this is money that is spent on American Indian students only until they are on par with their peers. And they are gonna memorize that. If I don't know how many times I have to say it, but, that is the state law for that, so. All right, we have to go backwards now, Amber.
Yes, sorry.
So we're on page 7 at the top, first bullet, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to eat all of the sandwiches.
Go, do it. Will provided financial assistance and support and fees relating to preparing and taking ACT, SAT exams for college entrance throughout the fiscal year ending in 2026. I guess for that, I would like to see in the action steps who a parent is supposed to put that request through to, right? Like, because you go on the Indian Education website right now, not all our liaisons even have a phone number listed for them. You know, so I wouldn't know necessarily who to even contact in my building to say, hey, I want, financial assistance for the ACT.
That would go through Jeff.
That would go through Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
Jeff's job is to. Right. Okay, so send it to Greg, and then Jeff is the one that comes off our list. Right. Or it might be the liaisons asking for something. You might have a group of students that might, so it might be a little here or there.
I would say we'd probably be like the first people they reach out to.
That would be my guess.
That conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe like the liaison and the title.
Right.
The liaison and the coordinator.
Again, that might be like really good to put clear in that action steps part that even the guidance counselor to meet with those Indian 11th graders, however many they are, and say, hey, we have assistance for you,
So they would go with them first.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't have anything to help them, then they would be like, let's talk to your liaison and figure out if there's something.
Yeah.
They can do.
Yes.
Because I think we talked about before is that with the post-secondary stuff, there are a lot of other programs that our students, like with TRIO and with, there's just lots of other things that students could have access to that, like our liaisons aren't responsible for knowing every single program that the school has to offer, right? Like that's part of the guidance counselor's job.
And that's where we're gonna, once we get really good at this stuff here and have that strategic plan too, I can help with like bringing Raphael Eubanks. He's the tribal liaison for Office of Higher Ed, and he can come in. He can meet with the counselors and the staff and kind of give in like all of the things that are available out there for American Indian students and low-income students. So that's something we can definitely do.
Yeah. Just that bullet point reads more like a goal than an action step to me, so I just kind of want it more like, yeah.
That you want some kind of verbiage for students reaching out to the liaisons and or the coordinator.
Yeah.
Is he a coordinator or director?
Coordinator.
Okay.
So, yeah, just so like if I were a parent and looking at this, and I would know exactly who I'm supposed to go to.
Is there a number of students that you want to take the ACT?
100% of the 11th graders.
Yeah,
They're getting resources. If they're getting resources from counselors, how will you be able to track that?
the counselors, your coordinator should be able to meet with the people or guides or school counselors now, and ask them very specifically American Indian students, how many have you worked with, what do you have in your data for ACT, SAT. They might even take the trial college 1, 2.
Medicine exam.
Yeah, Damien doesn't do it anymore, but I think we'll just keep medicine thing. But just kind of keeping track that they're supposed to. That is a
How about, can we write in there that those numbers will be provided to the Indian Education Department?
they are automatically.
They're supposed to be.
And we will work on that.
Yeah.
So that's why I said this is one thing. And then on your side notes, on those post-it notes that you do, start putting stuff down like that. Because what we want to do, so like in my crazy pad, when you write notes down like that, then when I get home, I start putting them into spots. And so that spot would be, where would I want that? I would not want that on my monthly report. If I was a parent on this committee, that would be something I would want on my report. So please write down on those post-its, and then that way we can start formulating reports that we want. And it's all data for for the most part, and some fun activities, but that's tied to the day too, right? And it's like, people have to start remembering that the APAC is like a school board, right? So as a superintendent working with my school board, previously, I added in there things that they asked me, and then things I thought they needed to know, like what was our daily attendance, how many students do we have in in grade bands, how many students took the ACT, how many students went, so we had all of that in there as a very just a quick overview.
Yeah.
Or maybe
But I
something.
just want to make sure it's like that's not going to be me trying to run around.
No,
those school counselors trying to get that data.
You
Okay.
need to
That's
get the
something.
kids together.
And then I guess I was just pointing out that this action step is almost identical to the goal language, just repeated. That's, I guess, why I'm looking for more of like, how does a parent or student access that financial assistance?
Well, number one, it's on the school, right? So
Yeah.
Title I students have access for the ACT. The state also has funding sources for students to take the ACT. What we're looking at is the connection to the students in person, inviting them to take the test, they know about it, and if they need rides for maybe after school prep time for it, or maybe that morning, just have someone
To get to the test. Yeah, you gotta get there by 7:30
Right.
or something.
I would love all that as that action step for the, you know what I mean? Because this is all
Okay, so what
that I guess that first bullet point I think is the point I was trying to make is almost identical to the goal language, and I would like the action step to more like detail what you just described, right? How this happens. Like transportation will be provided to students, will be offered to students for SAT prep, you know what I mean? On the day of testing. Liaisons will target the 11th grade students, or guidance counselors will target the 11th grade American Indian students and make sure they are aware that we want them to take this test for practice, and if what financial assistance they might need. That somebody at the ALC will target their American Indian students and say, we want you to take the ACT. What do we need to do to encourage that? I guess that's more what I'm looking for in my action steps.
So on number 7, page 7 on the top bullet.
Yep.
So we're good with that.
I'm good with that, yeah.
And then the next bullet should state transportation is offered for ACT prep, and on the day of the test, personal invitation,
Yeah.
personal invites for the liaisons.
Yeah.
What word do you want?
That, like I said, that's
It's not
No, you didn't miss anything. I didn't take it study at all. Like, yeah, no, that all sounds like really good, specific language, something that anyone could look at this plan and say, oh, that's where I'm at, that's what I need to do. Okay.
I'm making sure that that's.
That's the question. She goes, who's going to get the counselors to do that? Because that's our question. I guess that's how come like we're asking for that. So for people who are here now, who are watching this process, the reason why we're trying to like make that very clear is because we feel like that doesn't happen. Okay. It's like there's a reason why I think we're trying to push for that, because they're not aware, or for whatever reason, like it's not necessarily part of that for them to focus on these students, or that's getting missed somehow, or all of those things. So that's why we're really trying to be like, we want them to know that their name, guidance counselors, is in this plan, so that they're part of this process. Not, oh Jamie, I want you to go and reach out to so-and-so and let them know
That
this.
makes sense though, because staff changes. So I don't know, like from year to year.
I don't think she was saying naming. I think she meant naming of the position. I don't think we want real absolute names. We want guidance counselors. So like a lot of times if it's an American Indian student, the default is, Oh, the liaison, I contact the liaison and they deal with that from start A to start B, and the teacher, the support staff removes themselves completely.
I found out something today. Teague, I think you had put on as a question on, it may have been you or someone else, on the plan, but about the data towards one of those ending pages that we need for MDE. Shoot. Well, it was asking for the every student succeeds act type information and the data that we actually need. Well, I reached out to some other administrative support today about that question with that specific part of the plan. Actually, it was right under, so the yes, we provide American Indian culture and no, it was one of these.
What are you trying to say?
So some of the data that the district and the counselors are supposed to be giving us, that they haven't been. Someone admitted to me today that they haven't been gathering that data for 3 years, specifically.
Okay.
For this department.
And that's some of the stuff that when I was perusing through the plan originally, with where's the data. So the state of Minnesota, in order to get federal dollars, has to throw in a plan, and that plan is success indicators. So they will use attendance, they will use the MCA scores, and I can't remember the third one. It wasn't behavior because
Graduation rates,
that's
maybe,
it.
or something?
They wouldn't do behavior.
Is
I
that what
wonder
you
why.
Yeah.
So the MDE I know has that, and I know they have a minimum of 5 years off the top of my head. But if your district doesn't have it, whoever's job that is supposed to do that, all they have to do is pick up the phone call and talk to them down there and tell them that they need the data for those 3 items for the last 5 years, and they'll get it. It's like that. Now, when you want to work with American Indian specific, I can share this because I really watch what I say. In previous years, I used to be able to go on the MDE website, and I could pull up school report cards, and I could see the American Indian students. And then pretty soon they said the cell size was too small. I mean, these are some big districts, some small districts. And so we asked and put into legislation that the tribes have access to American Indian data, down to the cell size of 1. And then I went back into their system for pull in the data that I wanted and needed, and they buried it on large spreadsheets to the point it was very difficult to read, because it was impossible to fit it on any computer screen to go from here and then all the way across to the end and in. So I don't know if that was intentional, but my gut feeling was in the last few years it's been the worst ever for me to go in and get things like that. So, but I know your person can totally go in there and they're paid, that's like their job to do. I was doing it as a super independent, trying to make sure our students were taken care of throughout the state. So, and I'm nosy, but, you know.
He specifically asked for the AIPAC must indicate part where we have received our district schools every student succeeds act. ESA indicator data to assist in making data-driven decisions. And that's what I was, trying to, it was information provided from the counselors, I guess, I was told by this other admin staff, and it's something that they hadn't been digging and getting for us for 3 years because they hadn't been asked.
Well,
And I think that's kind of we could tell everybody all this, but I'm not the counselor's boss, I'm not the teacher's boss, so that directive has to come from, those two people have to meet, and they have to let all that staff know that, remember, you're responsible for keeping this data, so that it gets there. So that's how come I think even when we were kind of working on this, that we specifically, or at one point we did kind of put that, even as a goal, that you meet, that the coordinator will meet with the principal and maybe even the guidance counselors to discuss what their part is in the American Indian Education Plan. Because that's, a lot of us are part of a plan, like how you refer to the A&I. They have my name in that somewhere. I've never even been given a copy of it. So I don't even know how I could be meeting any of those goals if I wasn't made aware of it, if I never reviewed it, and if you didn't ask how, like, if that was even achievable or even appropriate for me to be participating in that way. So that's the practice that we're trying to not continue here, when we're being very specific with identifying who those individuals are that needs to connect and coordinate and share that. You know, that's even her here. There's a lot of stuff that she needs for the things that she works on here in the middle school, but she is not, she can ask teachers for everything she wants, but that doesn't come from her like the request where they have to comply. So that's the language that I think we're kind of getting towards here in this. We want it to be known that the coordinator has to meet with the principal and the school guidance counselors, and that these are the goals that they are responsible for collecting data about.
And exactly how to do that.
Like, what do we want? You know, what is it we want? We want those graduation rates. We want to know how many people you reached out to. Because I will tell you, even when it comes to referrals and things, it is like pulling teeth to get somebody to do some of that stuff. So if we're not collecting data on those students, or like we're not doing that, how can the district have any data? If teachers and people are not like filling in that stuff, and we can't even get it at the school level, I don't know what that means like for collecting it.
Jamie, will you put on your post-it note, access to data? So Duluth uses Infinite Campus, and I know as an administrator, I had access, I could run who was here 90% of the time from the beginning of the school year, or Monday through whatever. I could run those reports, who's failing, who's this, who's that. So one of the things which is sometimes more work on the frontline staff is having access to that data, to where here's my teachers have rosters, right? So if I'm a liaison, here's my roster, and then I can go in and do reports. Who's missed school? Who's done this? And then I would be able to know, oh man, I gotta get on this kid. And that's important when you are the frontline worker. And if I hear another school stating to me, but they have Check and Connect, I think I will lose it, because Check and Connect originally was all about data collection to serve, and that is the strategy that was working well with American Indian students. And then now I hear schools saying the work, because I asked people, you were Check and Connect, well, how are you collecting your data on your students that you're surveyed? What? We don't do that. That is not program.
It's the check part.
Program is, how are you getting the referrals? How are you checking on your students? How are you tiering them within there? And that is the Check and Connect mentors. So you need that data.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that there's like a difference too. There's like a difference between like what Jamie gets access to as a district staff, as a liaison, and like what the parent committee gets access to, because
Oh, you would have
Well, yeah.
student private practices and stuff like
you
that.
would have, no, the parents don't
Yeah,
have that.
no,
No.
we wouldn't have
But
access to that.
they needed to, if they're gonna do their job well.
Right. As a district staff, they could have that.
And that was a question we asked last November when we were doing virtual meetings with Mr. Bonds, is exactly how many American Indian students are being mentored by Check and Connect mentors, and that data just never got back to us. We got a big presentation on how they're identified, and that our Check and Connect mentors choose their caseload at the beginning of the year, but he didn't actually give us a number on how many American Indian students are being served by that program. So.
Put that on a Post-it note, because that's going to be a definite. And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way whatsoever. So the special education throughout the years has had many changes and law changes, right, in the Fed. So when you're thinking about American Indian students, we should be following a very similar pattern and procedure. How are our students identified? What are their needs? What's the data on that? Where's their individual learning plan, which is 9th grade? What is it? Starting in 9th grade, state law. And so I'm not saying all our kids are special ed. What I'm saying is their process is tried and true, and we should be able to do the same, especially in Duluth with 30% of our kids in special ed. So,
Yes.
So those are things that we're going to have to hone. And you have to remember too. Oh, Jen, go ahead.
I have a question. Two things. I guess there's no easy point to kind of jump in. And I know Jen and Amber, you and I had discussed recently that since so many of our parents are, we have kids kind of middle or high school, a lot of this plan is focused on, kind of middle high school, maybe even more high school. But one of the things that I want us to be mindful of is the data. I think that we need to look at the data where our kids are at in reading after 3rd grade, and to have some strategy about providing support to them, because we know that that's really critical, that if they're not reading up to grade by 3rd grade, how can we support them at that?
Jen, just to jump in real quick, it used to be kindergarten readiness, and then it used to be reading at
Read well by 3rd grade.
But now it's the language changed for the law. It is to be at grade level. Reading at grade level. So that's kindergarten, and that's why at our consultations with the tribe, I was asked Duluth, what are you using for kindergarten versus 2nd grade before this language change happened? And that's something we need to look at in our strategic plan also, is to start honing in on that more. Because you're right. And why is it college and career readiness? Because that's another statute that kids are supposed to have.
That's important. Yep, that's important. And I guess that kind of leads to the other question that I had. And I know Jeff isn't here, so it's not fair to ask him a question when he's not here. And maybe Greg can speak to it, or I see Jamie. I'm not sure if there are any other liaisons, but how did Jeff capture the liaison voice in this plan? So was Susanna and then the new liaison for the elementary school, because their voices would be really important for the younger kids. So anyway, that is my question. And well, Jamie, not because you're in Myers-Wilkins anymore, but just because you're still within the liaison group, I guess.
We did have one meeting where he kind of just asked us like some of the things that we did and started trying to put them in. And I think I don't see any of that reflected in here, so I don't think that was what he needed. But we met once, and he kind of asked like what things we had done before. I will share that as a elementary liaison, once the plan was done, what I did is I would write out all these areas, and then I would go through and specifically focus on how I was going to complete projects or identify things to do with elementary students. So for college and career, part of it was that we created vision boards about what you want to be when you grow up. We started having those conversations about, you know what you need to do. So, and then I'd go to area 2 and decide what I was going to do that fit into area 2. And that's kind of something that as new people have come, I've shared with them as a good practice, as a liaison, to help you find some you know, so that we have some focus, because it can get crazy quick.
Mm-hmm.
It can get real crazy quick, and people come at you for a lot of things. So really knowing what your goals are, what your objectives are, and what your purpose is there, you know, is a big part of that job, you know.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And that was a good way to look at it. So a lot of, we used to have like the fire folks come and different people. And that was part of our college and career readiness for kindergarten, starting kindergarten.
Yeah.
So there's probably things the schools are doing that, but, you know, how do we know?
Yeah.
How do we know? Amber?
Um,
Oh, wait, I had one more thing.
Okay.
Are we capturing what the liaisons want in this plan? Because if I'm not, you need to like.
I was like, I guess that's kind of why, we kind of did the other way, not because I didn't want to keep putting into this and make it more confusing. So that's why we kind of like made a separate one, just so it was really clear what we were looking for. But I think like the 3 additional trips we put in there, focusing on some tribal specific programs, and even like a tribal or cultural specific, I guess, I don't know if these are action steps, career fair, like to me, those were some of those, when we said 3 additional opportunities, those would be what I would see, and because we had such a special education focus, there's so many students involved, looking at creating some kind of opportunity that focuses on students with IEPs, students with 504s, and what comes next for them after high school. So that is a big piece, like the more that these disparities in reading and math become apparent, knowing and focusing on that information and making sure that that's one of our targets for all of us, to know that and to keep that on our forefront, I think is really important.
Yeah, and by law, the special education students in their IEP must have a transition plan. And as a liaison, depending on who's on my roster, right? I'd be pulling those IEPs because I would have to know as a liaison for what their goals are and everything. So I would be reading them. And if it didn't really match up with the student, how I knew the student, then I'm going to call the parent and, you know, we need to have a meeting and change up the IEP.
I will say I did like what Jamie had suggested in this kind of alternative thing she suggested is develop a family cultural engagement night focused on alternative pathways for student success and post-secondary opportunities. That could happen from the elementary, middle school level. Absolutely. So it kind of leaves that open access for liaisons at these other, you know, not just necessarily high school, but including that would give them access and families.
Then eventually, like more than likely you have another one, so becoming familiar with this information,
Yeah.
what this process is and how it leads to your next child is like a
And
big
your
part of it.
grandchildren.
Yes, because I'm just saying like $3,000 is a lot when the one we took only cost like $400. So like we want to make sure our liaisons have access to that and to implement the type of programming that their vision allows for.
Like with the 400, that was more like local, and I think that's something that we had talked about last time. Is that was the Fond du Lac Tribal College, so that was more local, and the meals were included in that event. So if we're taking students a further distance, maybe getting like a coach bus versus a school bus, if they're going to go further, if they're going to go somewhere where meals aren't provided, having like a larger budget to like have it be that $3,000, and then if we do the 2 trips and it doesn't cost that much, then like, you know, between now and spring, like that money can be reallocated. But I think when you're taking further trips and
An adjustment.
an adjustment. Yeah, like to do an adjustment to like move that money, but to have that there in case we are taking more
it's just a
students.
place marker.
If we want to have more students and have more buses and go further and
Right. So
does that need to be another goal then, like to have them meet the principal, the coordinator, and identify like what individual parts, or does that need to be an action step? Like how do we?
that needs to be in the strategic plan.
Okay.
We check on roles and responsibilities with their job descriptions to begin with, because that should be happening as a coordinator already.
so we have to get through this and do this before we can do this.
Correct. T, is this the strategic plan or what is this? No, that is somebody that sent their side hustle. Oh, that's
This is what kind of what me and Jamie were talking about. Because I couldn't access the official one, so we kind of were like, okay. Yeah. It got a little hairy, just like thinking about it.
With red. So the first draft I got was red. The second one I have to switch to see where it was. And then, oh my gosh.
Okay.
So ACT.
And I
for
guess
11th graders.
I really, okay, so just kind of to move beyond what we're at, I kind of really like what we've talked about for action steps. I like these bullet points. The only thing that I think needs to be altered is because this specific goal is talking about post-secondary prep for American Indian pupils. Just removing where we talk about MIA, 4 additional staff. That little piece should come in on goal 5, where we're talking about developing intercultural awareness among pupils, parents, and staff, right? That would make more sense to me to say 4 additional staff to attend MIEA.
Okay, so you want to move MIEA to...
Not for the students, but for like the parents and the 4 additional staff, just moving that under area 5.
I think we should keep them in both spots.
Okay.
People can see instead of going, because what happens with people is they're going to be a staff person or a parent, right? They're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to MIA, and then they don't see like, oh, there's potentially 20 students going, and I have a part in all of that. So keeping them together makes people understand, like, yes, students should be going.
Yes.
So it's okay.
We can put it more than one.
Correct.
Okay.
I do feel like this is stacked differently than I remember. So the 10 parents who may also be staff in the district. So we're saying 4 parents, and then, or 4 staff, and then 10 parents who can also be staff.
So like, I think that was put in there because we have lots of parents who are also happen to be staff, and so to say, like, let's, for example, like Dustin and Jamie, just because they are both, that if we're saying we're only going to take 4 additional staff, we could put their registration and them into that parents category. We won't want to exclude them and say, well, you're a staff, so you're part of our 4 staff, where they could be as parents and we could be bringing other staff who need this education, these experiences that aren't parents.
So here's a question with that that just came into my head. So then you're treating parents and staff differently. So staff who are...
Staff will be chaperoning the students.
Okay. So so their conference fees will be paid for, and they'll be paid as employees. But if they're a parent, only their fees will be paid for, and their time will be.
Not if they're staff.
Okay.
So how that usually works, well, how it should really work is, so and then a lot of our AIPACs have staff because they love their school, right? And so they'll bring. Some of them have 3 children, so they all have a hotel room, but then, okay, that takes the weight off of the chaperones. And then there's some staff that some students will not have. Parents, right? That would be willing to go. So it's nice to have a staff person that is willing to chaperone a group of kids. Otherwise, I always look at what's the benefit. How does it benefit the student? And this is the way to make sure, like, if your parents are staff in the district, okay. If there's staff that don't mind and like chaperoning kids,
Like
so
if
be
I
it.
chaperone.
Yeah. So that way, when you have 20 students, you can have enough adults doing the thing. Triangle. Yeah, follow them in. Does that make sense here, Green Sky?
I think so. I just wanted to make sure, just because, again, you know from experience, I know on some days, one of the MIEA days 2 years ago, it was out of contract time, so some of our liaisons weren't paid for the day that they attended MIEA, which I didn't believe was right at that time, so I wanted just to be sure that If they're there as staff, they're getting paid as staff.
When you're bringing kids, that's how you should get a bonus.
So that was all of a sudden I remembered something and I'm like, oh, let's clear that up real quick.
Okay, all right. I think tonight we might get to area 2.
Yay!
Like, yeah, I feel like we need to find a way to get through these quicker because we spent the whole last meeting also only getting
Yeah.
through area.
Yep, so we're gonna go through on area 2.
So page 8 if I'm almost distracted.
Yep. Objective to enhance academic achievement of Indigenous students.
Are those narratives in the whole thing that they give us, or is that something that's too short?
That objective, that's what like we would, yeah. Again, that was that objective. They're not given. There's something. Are they carried over from previous plans, or did these just?
It could be from previous plan, or it could be from like the plan that I sent last year from.
Okay.
With, Govinda, where they from where.
Yeah.
So does that change? Do we refer
It
to?
can change. If you're meeting your goals on this plan by the end of the year, you'll still want to keep some of them because they worked really well. But then some things you might want to tweak a little bit, and you're not like, oh my gosh, now we have a whole different crew of kids, or
Or we still have progress?
yeah.
So this one, I just felt like the surveys being created, in those 2 areas, those felt like action steps, not necessarily goals, right? And the goal would be like the increasing that graduation rate, just that one goal.
I commented on the first bullet in the plan that you could access from the website. I thought it read a little funny, and I wasn't sure that integrated into future curriculum was the white. Turn it into Bugs Bunny. Elmer Fudd. The right way to describe it. The right way to describe it, because we don't necessarily have authority over classroom curriculum.
That is not true. That is not true. American Indian parent groups are to be involved with the curriculum development. That is.
Okay.
That's a statute.
Yeah, of what, so when we talk about integrating curriculum, it's, whether it's a review of curriculum, Jen.
Okay.
Let's even go with the Indigenous Education for All. They're gonna have to definitely have the AIPAC help with that. The district does approve the curriculum, but by law, for American Indians, this group is supposed to have their input and be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
So can we write that into the goals?
It's a law.
We don't need to. It's already an existing
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I'd really like it to be explicit, just so we know that we are being included and it's expected.
Okay. Where am I?
By May 2026, a survey will be created and implemented, and then I think.
Well, I would like to be more involved with that. I have written curriculum, for adult learners, but I've actually written curriculum for youth as well, but in small scale. But I don't think that is. I don't think that I'm certain that people across the district do not understand that or invite. Well, I don't think we get invites to participate in that
In the
at
past,
all.
we've had, because the district reviews different core content areas like on a schedule, so it's like, at this time they review all the science and then they do all the English, and it's like on a schedule that they review the district-wide curriculum. This is how it's been explained before, is that when the district is gonna review the social studies curriculum, during this time frame, and there have been offers in the past, or the committee has been notified, hey, there's gonna be these meetings about this, or there's gonna be these, the curriculum committee meets and things like that, and the APAC has been invited in the past to those types of spaces and meetings. So it's like in the past,
When was the last invite? How many
I
years
can't
ago?
remember, but I know that in the past, like that, the way it was explained is that we're not, like the APAC isn't gonna go, you know what, we'd like to decide to redo the science curriculum, because it's like a whole district wide and there's a lot of different things that they have to take into consideration about learning it. And so like when they do that, they've invited the APAC in the past, like to be a part or sit in on those. Who's doing them now and like what that looks like, or what their schedule of like what their curriculum they're reviewing and when, I don't know now, but it is something to have.
The public school districts will review their curriculum on a 10-year cycle according to MDE, because by law, whatever standards and benchmarks are approved by MDE must be taught at your school. The curriculum is what you choose for your textbooks or reading. Let's be clear about that. So the last review, I believe, was health through MDE.
I see.
So like as, oh, go.
That the classes that are currently being taught are reflective of American Indian students. And I will share with you that the health class is the least successful for American Indian students.
I know my child had a problem in the health class where her indigenous cultural boundaries were infringed on, and then rather than the teacher recognizing my request for a meeting, I was brushed off, pulled up, and it was put on a liaison who had no idea what happened. And I actually had to go through like 3 requests to just get a meeting with the teacher, and I had to bulldog it. And that's not right. So I see that, right? I see our indigenous mindsets not being reflected in that curriculum or honored.
Because we're part of it and we put our suggestions, doesn't necessarily mean they're accepted.
Yeah,
Right.
And one of the things that we've been doing at the state level, right, because we know that happens, is making sure that there's a standard or a benchmark that mentions us. So then when you pull that, right, so you can ask Duluth School District to do a curriculum review that is focused on American Indians.
Yeah, that's in there, we put that in
Yeah.
there somewhere, like an audit.
Yeah, and then that way we can go through there, and if teachers don't know how to teach it or where to get this stuff, then we work with rolling that out and helping and supporting.
And that's really important, I think, because like you said, a lot of the classes they still come back with are not reflective of American Indian students and their needs. So somehow we're looking to kind of ensure that there is going to be some kind of change or thing that is reflective of the student needs, the American Indian student needs.
And that's why I think this first bullet point and the last bullet point under goals are really very good action steps for identifying what those needs of our students and our families are. And I guess that was my point in this section, was like if we could just move those 2 bullet points down to action steps and only have the one goal focused on our graduation rates, I think that would be appropriate.
But this is supposed to be all of the students, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
That's going to be the graduation rate, like increasing it, that's going to be for all students, not just high school or middle school, but even elementary. Like
Graduating elementary school?
Well, increasing the graduation rate at some point for them, like we're talking about them too when we're talking about.
Honestly, that would be good to know, because right now we only track starting with that 4-year cohort in 9th grade, and I know for a fact kids drop out in middle school between 5th and 8th. So, and that is data that's not tracked, right? Like.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
If you have a MARS number in the state, even with the BIE schools.
Okay.
We all opted in for the MARS.
Uh-huh.
So we work with the state for data.
Mhm.
So if you have a MARS number, the only time you'll lose track of a student is if they go to Wisconsin, North Dakota,
Okay.
And it will show that they transferred out of state.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that would be important. Like, I think one of the things that was happening at ALC is they were getting ready to expand, like, some of the programming to middle school. So we need to know this information.
Yes.
We're creating a program already for them not to be here.
And I think for this second, just talking graduation rate, going 2 years ahead would be appropriate, just because that's where our accurate data is, right? Because this 56% is from 2 years ago. So if we're wanting to increase by like,
The graduation rates will always be 1 year behind.
yeah. So we won't know, and technically this plan won't affect a trackable graduation rate till 2 years or
The only
okay.
way you can switch that up is within the Infinite Campus, your school district tracks that. But you need to be very clear that this isn't on the state report card. This is a district graduation rate via Infinite Campus.
And I would like if we could change it to that, I think that would be more reflective, and we could, you know what I mean, have that. Because if we're just focused, or if we can only access the publicly available MDE data, it has to be 2 years into the future, right? Because we might not even have this graduation rate data by the time we're looking at the next year's plan. Which will be in June, right? Because I don't think that data came out until late May last year.
Okay,
Anyway.
so the curriculum, that's where we talk about doing an audit. The graduation rate is using MDE and Duluth data system. Okay, so we'll add that. That's what I heard you say, Amber, right?
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah, them both would be great.
Okay. And we have 3 more categories to go through.
Okay. In the action steps, is the district providing the graduation banquet, or is the American Indian Education Department providing the graduation banquet?
If it's specifically for our American Indian students, we will provide that.
Okay, so maybe we should change that to AIE otherwise. Because that would be specific for American Indian students.
Oh, yeah, it does say the district.
Bullet point 1 for action step under goal, yeah. Again, in the second bullet point, we say if it's, again, and because the district does participate in some of these, the powwow was collaborative with Duluth, you know what I mean?
Do we just want to put the district and
Yeah.
AIE?
Yeah.
Will they actually have someone to collaborate then?
We just had Tori Thrash in here, and last year Duluth Community School Collaborative said they wanted to.
They want to be part of the graduation banquet?
No, but we moved on to the next bullet point, talking about cultural
Events and presentations.
and then I'm specifically thinking about the powwow that they said they wanted here again at Lincoln Park.
Yeah, so we'll do district
And AIE, yeah. And then the culturally appropriate incentives for American Indian students. I guess I would like it in here to say that our homeschool liaisons lead that. Like anyone in a building who wants an incentive, they have to put it through the liaison first, right?
So you don't want it to say school staff?
I don't want it to say school staff, because then if Joe Schmo school staff comes in and says, oh, I want to buy $500 worth of incentives for my class, and then gives it to non-native students, like that's not appropriate.
Oh, I want to have a drum at my school. I need you to pay for it. I got some of that last year. I started getting calls for different stuff like that. Or, oh, but they're an American Indian student. So I was like, yes.
Provide-
We run programming, and those incentives are available through the program that I run. Like, not that your student can't access them as an American Indian student, but that they're part of the program. The incentives are part of the programs that I am offering.
Is it appropriate? I'm just saying it. I don't think it's appropriate for the science teacher to come in and say, "Hey, I would like $500 for incentives for my classroom."
Homeschool liaisons.
Yep.
That'll get approved through the coordinator.
Let's take the thing, because if I'm reading this plan, people are reading this plan. this is a plan that is not a secret.
Yeah.
And if I'm a teacher, I want, you know, and I'm reading it, I'm thinking, hey, Jen Garbo, kick me over some cash. Look at her. Okay, so when
I'm
we want
broke.
to see, what? Oh, yeah, chips.
I'm broke.
Oh, I'm broke. So at that little point, put homeschool liaisons
Yeah.
will provide.
Yes. I think
So
that's
taking
appropriate.
out that last sentence that says school staff
Yeah.
mentors homeschool, just delete that entire sentence
Yes,
and just put
yes.
homeschool liaison in the front.
No, delete that whole.
No, start out with homeschool liaisons. Will provide. And then we're gonna take out, where is it? School staff, we're gonna take out that all the way to the end.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just the last sentence.
And then I'm okay with the last part, continue to support and promote the cohort efforts.
Yeah, and I left that data report card in there, just as a reminder. These are things we can have access to. So it doesn't mean anything, it's just like a memory thing. Like, we do have access to this kind of information.
So are we good to move on to 3 then?
Yeah, I'm gonna take out that you will be provided. What I'm gonna keep in there though, is you will have more information, on data. And just as a statement. Because I put the, MCA scores in there on how many were proficient.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of like a placeholder, like, we know we can get this information.
Yep. And right now, I guess I have a question in the funding where it says cohort support. Is that for incentives or is that for these textbooks that have been already bought?
No, those are for the incentives.
This is incentive. $2,000, and that is not specific to just the students in the cohort currently, but also ones who have transitioned out or for like outreach. You know what I mean?
We have boomerangers.
We have boomerangers, so just making sure, I guess there I would like the data on the number of cohort students both in and who have transitioned in or have expressed interest in.
And that, you can make that request.
Yeah, okay. So we know, like, yeah, who that is specifically supporting. And then I think that area is good.
Area 3. Page 10.
Down to page 10. I know what I'm gonna do. Anytime you want to find out a state statute with American Indian students that's mentioned, you just pick up your Gemini or Chat GPT and it'll pop it up for you. Just ask that question. Do y'all want to try it right now? It's super funny. I'm learning this stuff. Kids think I'm pretty cool now because I can get it, you know. Yeah. And we will use it a little bit more on our strategic plan too, because I also, Gemini, in the state of Minnesota, using the state statutes for American Indian students, and it just like, and then I fact checked it, and we're done.
Okay, and here's another, it was kind of like,
You gotta tell us where you're at, Amber.
Area 3. I read the objective as like as a very good, goal, and I guess I read the goals as action steps.
Yeah,
That's how, you know what I mean? I guess that's where I struggle a little bit.
I see how that sounds like that, yeah.
And that's just maybe a shifting of how that is. Instead of calling it the objective, call the objective the goal and move it down to the action step, and that's just an easy fix.
you have to remember that these are teachers that do lesson plans that usually do these types of.
Yeah.
So bullet point 1 for the goals.
area 3?
Yes.
Ma'am,
Page 10.
Okay. Okay, yeah,
first bullet in red.
got it.
Okay, plan and promote. And so, and we said there was the Indigenous Peoples Day event.
That is not APAC.
That
You can help consult or collaborate. That Indigenous Day event is state law and it's on the school districts.
And Jeff made sure that none of that was out of our fund.
okay.
Can we do our own thing?
Well, you will be. You've got 2 more to do.
And then I guess I know at Denfeld you guys did something for Orange Shirt Day.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So
That's in
So-
here in the budget.
yes, so technically we've done one of these and that's good. I'm just pointing that out that we've already gotten one done.
Bring it back in.
So like moving forward, the other one would probably be either the powwow or the round dance or that other big huge district-wide event. Or it could be something
I know
else.
where you're getting mixed up with the stuff. Okay, so the goals. So what I'm saying is I'm gonna provide 2 cultural goals or activities, right?
Yes.
Well, and then when you look under the action, I'm gonna take the kids to a ricing and a sugar camp. That's my 2, right? So I think when you can like the goal is to do at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
How I do it and when or
Ye-
with what.
Yep.
It could be these things.
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm like, oh well, okay, so we've already almost hit our goal. We're halfway there. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so like the Orange Shirt Day was a really good one. If Indigenous Peoples Day is on the district, then another one would be to provide like heritage assemblies or some kind of like presentation like that. That gives, like, we're working on that at the school and we're gonna do it at the other high school and middle school. But that is, I guess what I want there to be an opportunity for the students to gain some of that experience doing this. But also I don't want that to make their job to present this that it's all on us to do this for the district, or something like that. But I do want to give them an opportunity to present that or to have an opportunity to present their knowledge and that too. So, or even just like creating that. There have been other students who are non-native who participate, but this is one of those things. So we're going to do that though at the school, like have a cultural heritage assembly, Native American heritage assembly.
Can I add? I added it in the notes there, but we went through that section, whizzed by that section, which is fine. But just kind of overall, when we're talking about different classes and workshops we're offering, not so much like activity-based, like experiential learning. I know that that's more kind of going out. A lot of times it's like going out in the woods, right? Which is very good. But when we're talking about more of the lecture style classroom, like bringing in presenters, I would like to see us broaden the definition of Indigenous interest.
You froze, Jen?
Indigenous
What did you say? Broaden the definition of what? She froze right at that one.
Indigenous inter-district activities.
Well, if it, say I'm a high school social studies teacher, I wouldn't be looking at your budget
Anonymous, yeah.
for bringing in presenters. I would be looking at my own classroom budget. What I would come to APAC for is, I have 5 people. Which one,
Do you think this is that?
yeah,
Or would
can you
be
vet?
that?
Which one are you willing to, say is good to go? That's how I would utilize APAC.
Oh, she's calling. Hey Jen, you're on speaker, what's up?
decisions, you know, we weren't all members, we weren't all members, you know, we had different roles and responsibilities. And so thinking about that, and then we have, of course, UMD with, you know, all of the programming. It would be really easy to call on, you know, Joseph and others just to come in and do those talks. So I just like to broaden it a little bit to include some of those things. Because I think we're kind of missing out. And then the other piece I'm always advocating for is sort of the athletics. Like we do have student athletes, and I don't know what this would look like, but some sort of, you know, for our student athletes, I don't know if it's a club or an organization. It could be student led. But something for them too, because we really don't have anything for them, and they naturally, organically kind of come together to support one another. But it might be kind of cool for them to have something too. So those are my last comments. And my screen is still froze, so I don't know. Maybe it's telling me I'm done for the night.
And Jen, I am still in connection with Megan and Joseph at UMD, but every time I've tried to bring it up to a coordinator or district leadership, they don't really have any interest because there's always higher priority. But I am keeping up that contact still, even though it's not as much as we definitely would need. Okay.
So-
And Garbo, just think about this, right? It always doesn't have to be the APAC trying to figure something out either. We could do a booster club for our American Indian students on the side.
Well, that's kind of what the Duluth or Denfeld Indigenous Council kind of.
Yeah, like, or even student council groups.
Well, thank you all, and I know you'll get through it tonight. I wish you well.
Me
See you next time.
All right. Text me when you want to go have coffee.
I'll throw out a couple ideas, like, so we're doing student council.
So which bullet point, like, are we just trying to like?
Still under goal number 3, we're doing like feast, we're gonna do feast and films, show some indigenous films. What else did I just?
Is that something you want to monitor, and then we put that in our strategic plan to make sure like it continues? Because
Yep.
I'm guessing it's going to work.
It's perfect.
But once we put it into the plan, then it's like almost like we're so, what's the data? I don't know. Whereas if we feel it out first, and then it's like,
Yeah.
there we go.
Or even like knowledgeable to be able to support that.
That's on.
Oh, we do have
It's
physical
on
in
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
physical and
Yep.
stuff.
Jamie, I kind of want to throw this out there, and I don't think everyone's going to like this idea, but I have always thought it would be really cool to have shawl dancers as cheerleaders at games, and I could teach them like some routines if we want in the cohort, and we could just start it like small, and then see if kids get more comfortable with it or whatever, and then they can teach each other.
Yeah.
Ideally over a long time or whatever. But if we have a regalia making class, could we make some like satin shawls and just have like a little, send them out for the native athletes, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying really hard to get kids to dance, and that's been really hard lately. So I'm not sure about that. Like, but I'm working on like trying to get them involved. There are a few that are on the dance team. Like maybe I could kind of reach out to them and see if they would be interested.
It would be really cool if we got some material specifically in Denfeld colors for like shawl, you know what I, so you look like a team.
Yeah.
The shawl dance team for Denfeld, you know what I mean? And then the
Gold
team,
shawls.
yeah.
So are we all good with these 3 bullet points? Just trying to stay on
Not till the gold shawls get put in.
top of the grass.
The other thing is like Bagadawewin is something that I think is well attended. I don't have the statistics, but I know that the Center for American Indian Minority Health partnered. I think it was started by either Edie or Jen and continued by Jen Garbo. I think it's still something that is going on that we purchased. So like I guess I would like to see that in here because it's, you know.
So a way I would say is to support students in attending those things, because for a while they were out at Fond du Lac, and so like Dustin, that's part of why he's getting approved to drive the van. So if there were kids that wanted to go, he could bring them in once upon a that.
That's
So
kind of like something that's
What
good.
bullet are we on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all,
number 3, we're still on number 3.
Okay, area 3, what
So
bullet,
it was
what
to
action step, what
support
goal?
students to attend like those
Out of school activities.
that are offered in the community.
Yep.
I think that's kind of what Jen was saying too. Like there's things in the community. How do we get our kids to go there?
so that'll be its own bullet, is that what you're saying?
Or even like an action. I consider an action.
Yeah.
For students to get to those outside activities, provide them the transportation or arrange, however you want to say that.
Because we've spent money on this already. Like we should kind of have a baseline what we spend on this. Because I think we've provided food for these events.
How about
We
the food was through a grant that UMD applied.
We're gonna be here till midnight. Not even Friday.
We could just really stay on.
Me too. Okay, so.
Are you gonna do that, Jenna?
No. Okay, so we wanna put, purchasing, you wanted to say, well, it does say and out of school activities.
It already says that.
Yeah. So just like providing or arranging, maybe supporting with transportation for them to get there.
I wonder like what some of this conversation is more strategic plan and what part of it is this plan, because I feel like we're spending a lot of time maybe talking about things that aren't for this and are more for that in-depth plan.
Well, and the thing is in the budget when it says transportation too, so if we don't utilize that for the field trips or for the ACT, that's still transportation funding. We just should just do the extra.
Okay. So we just want to make sure that it's in there, no written, like so later when we come back.
and say, okay, who like I don't want to bog it away with this is something that's been historically done. Just making sure it gets in there so we know that we have these connections already. We have the supplies somewhere, which should be inventoried, right? Of the lacrosse stick or Bagaduewin sticks. So we know how many students we can support.
In and out of school activities, supporting transportation, purchasing cultural items, and supporting meals to foster a welcoming environment. Thank you. That's why I showed up today. I love your sandwich. So that's in there, so we don't have to backtrack. Okay.
A few months ago, I shared with parents where like the last flyers I had gotten from them, these are about the name as well, which I probably should share again.
And then second bullet point under action steps, again, it says the district will provide 4 more presentations, just wanting to be sure that that is what's intended here.
The district and AI.
Yeah, and AI. AIE. Okay, thank you for making that one out.
I think the bullet point on the top of page 11 as well, putting that and AIE.
Because I think that's where we were wanting these electives, these culturally relevant electives. Exactly, I think that's appropriate there.
Because it's going to come from a recommendation from your concurrence, non-concurrence anyway. I think that's where I grabbed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the ones I put that were in there was the non-concurrence was part of the.
Okay, and the only funding request here is for seasonal activity fees and elder speaking fees.
Because it looks like, I mean, there's a bunch of this where it's like the district will be providing, so that
Yeah, and then
we
there's
shouldn't be paying or budgeting our money district is covering the cost of that, that's on them.
Right, just making sure those, things that have already been purchased, like those textbooks that are supporting the Indigenous cohort English, that's not listed here specifically.
That's because that was last year's plan, not this year's. I don't know where that money came from, but it did come out of your budget for this year. We don't even have any money. The only money that, you guys asked me to check, gals, asked me to check on that, so when I looked at the budget, there might be some outstandings,
I think you're getting confused with Massawa.
no, I'm not. So with that is, salaries have only been taken out of this budget.
Okay,
Unless there is a purchase order that has been through for the shirts or something of that nature, it hasn't been invoiced, it wasn't on there.
Maybe it came out of a different.
I don't believe Jeff has signed off on any approvals for spending.
That would have been before he was here, because he didn't start till like October.
and that came, I did bring this again, and that's why, I
will
just,
double check on that again.
okay, so I'm just gonna bring this over to you, just so you know where I'm getting it from.
Okay. And then with those books, we need to mark them on the American Indian Education Program.
Because my student actually does not have
Yeah.
the book, she's using her phone copy.
I have
That's
it.
the manual to reach out to him. Yeah.
So we're looking at
He shouldn't show him, I guess if he orders stuff, it shouldn't go directly to anyone until he has it. Because even I don't have a copy right now.
That's where it's like, I was pretty sure when it's like $15 for paperback copies of those Larry Peeper's daughter's book. And then I was like, okay, I think Jamie, she got 2 additional books for that English class, which I'm pretty sure I know exactly what was purchased out of there, but I don't know the amount, and I'm vaguely certain on the title.
So right now we have 2850, but some of it was for.
And then I suppose, I assume this is for food, and that's fine, I'm not concerned about that. There's this 812 for cost of supplies, and then current year 1500 in general supplies. And then Title 6 is a whole nother.
We're at another meeting. Oh boy.
Just want to make sure that none of those Title 6 purchases end up in this.
So page 12, area 4.
Yeah, we are gonna do this tonight.
Okay, is there feedback from you guys? Because
Okay, I'm gonna pause the
Yes.
recording,
If
and
you
I'm
go
gonna start another part
into
2.
the cafeteria, shots.
Wednesday, November 5th.
One in each arm.
AIPAC Part 2. Yeah. Justin, time for stabs, jabs and stabs. My daughter just said, hey Mom, I know you're at a meeting, but just to let you know, be careful when coming back home. There are some teenagers running around beating people up and causing property damage.
What?
Sweet. Awesome. Teenagers.
Okay. So we're on 12 for positive reinforcement, self-image in American Indian peoples.
Page 12?
So with all these other stuff, this other stuff is staying in, these are all goals, like these are all goals that are in here.
Everything that's in there that we said.
That's in red.
That's in there for what? And then the extra things, like how many 1950 years. Those other things I added, if I wrote them. On the bottom of page 12, it's saying, we're gonna use the system of support to focus, by utilizing a contact
backlog and infinite campus.
Mhm.
Can you explain that a little more? What does that mean?
That would be something the liaisons would do.
Yeah, so the school staff, so at the Ojibwe school, we use the campus, and so when people would say, oh yeah, I contacted so-and-so, what does that mean? Well, in Infinite Campus, you click on the drop-down box, and it'll say contact, student contact, or family contact. And so then you just have the systems person put in there, was it a phone call? You can do it very minimal. You do a phone call, email, or you stop at their house. Or you can have it to where there's a little bit more of a conversation.
There's like notes on what you
Yeah.
talked about. Or
Yeah. Oh, it works like, you know, when kids are naughty and they can type in there. This is like, no, it's just a connection log. And it's supposed to be a positive thing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the Infinite Campus has a lot of things we can do with it. Edclimber, I don't know how they say it, but it's EDU Climber. That rocks for, you have some people that do data, man, that thing, I was working with North St. Paul, and they were pulling it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
I think we're gonna have to change.
Should we wait for Gray to come back?
I mean, if we're not making any edits or changes,
Yeah, if we're not making any edits, we can,
keep
you just
going.
tell me. Tell Amber.
Again, I have my same comment that the objective feels like the goal and the goal feels like the action step. I like the objective. I like how it's written. But like finding shared with AIPAC committee, that feels like an action step. And you know what I mean? That's just kind of my semantic issue in my own head.
Well, that was an additional one because it was sounding like things weren't shared with you.
Yes.
So that's like a goal. Right?
Yeah.
It's, what do they call that? Soft?
It's yeah. Increase academic support by to identify students. Yeah. So like I think I've asked that in the past, like how many tier 3, multi-tiered systems, how many tier 3 American Indian students do we have? How many tier 2s, which I think is where a good bulk of our students actually are. And then how many tier 1, which I think those 30% of SPED students are probably at. I mean, I can guess, but I would like the actual data. And they are already tracking this through MTSS, so it's just we want somebody to.
We want it. And when we ask for data, the key to that is also, because I forget too, is you need to explain it in a very basic way.
Yeah.
You can't come in and talk, to your psychiatrist. I'd be like, so it needs to be, they need to explain it. People can understand it.
Right.
So for that second bullet point, would we want that to say by May 2026, by May 2026 of the school year, the district will plan, promote, and implement. Do we want that to say the district and AIE will plan, promote, implement at least 3 cultural-based activities and events?
We talked about that.
Or do we want that just district?
I think that one can be both, because some of the stuff is going to take the district, saying like the tribal flags and things like that, and signage that will take the district. But then again, when we're doing the feast and the round dance and stuff, I think it's a combo.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that would be just adding that little piece there.
Yeah.
And then I think the third one sounds good. I like leaving that as the district responsibilities.
The signage and
Flags, artwork. In a location other than Denfeld, because they already have 3 flags available. Yeah, we're going east.
Yeah, I guess I see like some of that, I feel like, so how do we make that someone else's initiative? Because I'm doing those things at my school, like, and I know that other like liaisons are doing that at their school, but besides us, who else in the school is leading that initiative? That's kind of like where some of that specifics comes in again, or if it's the district, their representative, the school principal, like who else is Because what they'll do, or what happens is like, oh, we have to do this, and they come right back to the same person. So how is that different than me still leading that initiative?
Is that strategic?
So you want to
plan stuff?
spread the word, right? So this, I would.
And also, I want to increase other people's involvement here. Like, I think putting their names in this kind of spreads that responsibility around, and lets people know, oh, I did not know. Like I said, I didn't know I was named, or my role is named in other plans. So it's like, if that is happening, that should be shared. I'm hoping that part of one of these is that they'll meet. The principal and the coordinator will meet at some point and decide, or at least connect. You know, is that even a way to make a goal for the coordinator to have at least one meeting with each principal at every school?
Well,
You know, I mean, I get some of them, you know, but that's how I feel like some of these things will be brought to the forefront. You know, and some of that is like, oh, am I supposed to be focusing on this? That part is what I feel is missing all the time. Even like when we talked about doing the evaluation that's on like the MBA thing to see what your school has for an Indian education plan, I'm pretty confident that many administrators or people through the district haven't taken that. How do you know what kind of programming you have in your school, or if it's effective, if you're not even taking that assessment?
And I think at our early October meeting, I shared like a QR code. I typed it all up like a quiz for people to very easily just, you know what I mean, follow along. At this point, nobody's taken it.
so this is what I'm hearing. We have a lot of things, activities, trips, responsibilities, right, action. That is a part of a meeting I can have with Jeff and Anthony, because when you're not somebody's supervisor, it's really hard to get people to get on board sometimes. So what I've done in the past, because we have, the Illinois School have tons of activities. So I would list them all out. So we'd have a potluck committee. We'd have the graduation committee. We would have, and then the people who's the lead, they would take a monster committee. And or I was the person that likes doing the rice and sugar camps, right? So I would let people sign up for what they liked to do. And then after that, it was, now these people are assigned.
Voluntold.
Yeah, that's nice. Because too many of our staff there was 7 of us. Constant. And so you get to a point like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yep. And the activities, I think it's an easier piece and people find more joy in that, but I think like some of these responsibility parts is where I'm looking for some of that like accountability thing, or, you know, it can't just be this department that is responsible for the success of American Indian students. It has to be known that that is something that everybody should participate in.
So for
actively participate in.
that third bullet point under goals on page 12, you're wanting there to be something specific about more than just the district. You're wanting somebody specifically named that would take that on. Is that what?
Well, I can see where that, you could say that. I mean, I
Well,
just
that's what
think
I'm
even
just
like
trying to clarify that to the here.
coordination meetings, even for, I don't see like where the coordinator ever connects with the principal to share this information. So I would like to see that written out clearly somewhere, that the principal and the coordinator are connecting at least once a year to discuss the A&I plan. Because that to me would be a way to reinforce this, and that's where they bring up, oh, have we created new electives? Our students are not successful in these classes. What can we do to change some of this? Those administrators have to meet and discuss some of that stuff at some point.
I do think a lot of our workload is very liaison heavy, where it's like anything extra that has to get done, we sort of pass it down to the liaisons, of which we have like 6 in the entire district. We have caseloads of like over 100 students at times, and
I think that's why in some places we put like guidance, it says school staff, guidance counselors, mentors, homeschool liaisons, etc. Like there are multiple places in here that it does have that, and we actually took some of those out, like just today. So I feel like, are these things like that are more strategic plan based?
Well, overall,
Or are they this?
overall, what I'm feeling, because I don't know how to think it yet, it feels like the American Indian Ed program is thinking they have to do all of this because they've always been doing it. When in reality, it's the district's responsibility. What I hear you saying is there needs to be more of a, the leadership up here knowing what this is. And by law, they're supposed to. So on my end, I'll meet with the equity person, I'll meet with whoever did the achievement integration, I'll work with Anthony, John, and whoever, a special ed, and we talk about that. And this is what we do at our tribal consultation, is this is something that has been stated not only by myself, but our tribal government leaders, that people need to be working together. It's just not an Indian ed, and, go see you, go see you. It's no.
These silos again.
Right. So the silos have to be, they need to be addressed, but then you have to be the reminder. So then, whenever we see something like in this plan, and when you do your org chart, who is the person that says, oh, by the way, in this grant here, it states that as a school counselor, these are the things. That is their responsibility, and our job is to, whether you're a parent or a staff, is to hold people accountable. And if they haven't been held accountable, they'll get used to it. It just has to be one of those things where if you feel threatened from people questioning and asking questions or clarifying things, then you need some training. You just need some training, because all we're trying to do is the best for our students, and we're just trying to make sure that there's a nice flow.
Yeah, even a better dissemination of that information. Like I said, right now, there's probably very few people that, I'm constantly, well, how come this isn't getting funded, how come that? And I have to explain to you every day. So there's an A&I plan, so there are a couple grants, like I have this conversation with people pretty much a day. So knowing that and the difference is really important. And for administrators, I guess I have a lot of questions of why you wouldn't know that.
A lot of times administrators, number one, superintendents think we're looking at, their grants run through their grant person or business manager who's supposed to be looking at the allowables or what is actually no way. And so they just get tidbits of the information. And then once it goes to the school board, even from the superintendent doing presentations on the budget, they're not sure either of all of these big laws and grants. And at the end of the day, your school board, it's their responsibility. And a lot of them sometimes forget that.
What do I do when they don't read kids just hitting a brick wall? There's no one and I have to go straight to Anthony or directly go to John just to get some free get information sometimes.
You document, you keep documenting it, and then keep making a request. Resending the same email that you sent 6 months ago 17 times. And file a complaint. A lot of people, they get upset, and it's a valid complaint. They just never file it.
So are we wanting to change the wording on that then, or? Because I saw that conversation just stemmed out of the wording on that third bullet point on page 12. Are we wanting to change that? Or is that something that's that sounds like a conversation that, is it part of the strategic plan? Is that something that administration needs to happen? Or are we gonna edit that goal and then move on?
I guess I would take it off the liaison's plate.
Well, it doesn't say anything about the liaisons in that goal.
In the
I was
first
hearing-
bullet point?
Nope, third bullet point. We already got down to the third one, and Jamie was saying that because it says the district will increase awareness of adding the flags and signage and artworks, and that should be the district's responsibility.
Yeah.
And then what I heard Jamie saying is that if we just say the district, then there's this like plausible deniability of, well, I didn't know that I was supposed to do it, and I didn't know, and then like nobody does it.
We'll
and it
have
doesn't
this
get done.
conversation definitely with John. When it comes to the district, it's like saying that admin, John's responsible for the district on what, and also including the school board, on that.
So,
I do have to go, folks, but you guys can continue, but I will be packing up, because I'll need to go until 6:30, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we don't need to change that.
well, we want to add specific language, right? And I think you had mentioned having the coordinator meet with the principals.
Just even putting that as their goal, that they would meet with the principals even at least once to discuss the AIPAC plan.
Because I hear that as an action step, and like in the first bullet pointed action step, the only person identified is our liaisons, which is what you're saying. The liaisons will use the system of support.
I have a suggestion. They have Anthony has a whole group of administrators in teaching, learning, and equity that our department's a part of. And I've been to a couple of those meetings. This could be something they can go and look at. So I would put them at it, like the teaching, learning, and equity.
I think that's exactly what you were getting to.
Because Anthony has gone to them for data information too before, and I see no reason why they cannot do.
Or why this is not one of their
Well,
priorities.
it is in a bullet here, and it's on page 13 at the top, the first one. The district will provide achievement and more cultural expression, celebrations, activities, or events. For example, the Orange Shirt Day, Rock Your Mocks. The school staff, coordinator, principals, teachers, curriculum leaders, mentors, homeschool liaisons will plan, promote, and provide this effort. So what do we want to add in a bullet in the beginning on page 12 under action steps? The American Indian coordinator will collaborate with all of those people you just said.
Just the TLE department.
Yeah, but if I'm parent reading it, I know what it's.
Right, no, and I don't want it to just be about those
Teaching,
activities.
learning, and equity.
And that's not the only one, though.
Encompasses.
That's not the only one, so.
That's kind of a separate thing, but I don't want it to be, I don't think it should be about just these activities. I think it should be about the entire Indian education plan and what those goals are.
And I think that is in his job description.
She's brought the concurrence and non-concurrence to them before, the teacher department.
So I guess how do we write that to ensure that that's going to happen? Like to me, the things that we put in here as action steps is our way of ensuring, or at least putting in here the responsibilities that we're looking for. So when we go to look for some accountability, or like at least who we can talk to about whether or not this is happening, then we know where to go because that's in here.
So we can't.
Because we're going to be looking at this at concurrence time and say, hey, have you done any of these action steps yet? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no. And we're like, we were as clear as we possibly could be in saying this is our expectation, and if you aren't meeting it, that's where it is.
So, how do you want to write it?
Well, I think that just says like we look for like that the coordinator and those school staff people, the principals or whoever, that they meet regarding the ANI plan, like the American Indian Education Plan.
Is it allowed in there?
Thanks, Eddie.
We need that written so Ray can have it. And then what we need to do is put that in every action under each area.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So whatever, the coordinator should be meeting with,
School principals,
Teaching,
counselors,
yeah, teaching, learning, equity.
TLE,
Which is all like
Okay.
the
Yep.
admin staff, and
Yep.
it includes.
that includes curriculum,
Special
that
education,
includes all those.
behavior.
So that they are talking about the ANI plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are reviewing and talking about the ANI plan.
I know in our district phone directory, it actually lists out who is all under the TLE umbrella thing.
Let's just right now write it as what we have, otherwise we'll forget.
It's on the thing.
And then I like the next bullet point, the district will support the Indigenous student organization. I guess all I'm looking for, and when I do look, in the future, what I'm going to be asking, are you supporting the Indigenous student organizations at the same level you're supporting like the Black Student, Alliance, are at the same level you're supporting other clubs or student councils, or I guess, and that's how I read that bullet point. Is it intended to be different? I guess that's my question.
Page 13.
Page 13, yeah. So I think clubs get a certain amount of funding from the Achievement and Integration Plan, from the building itself. Is our Indigenous student organizations supported at that same level, right? Are they supported, yeah. And that's just a data point, right? Or is that intended to be a funding request that we need to be including in this AIEA plan?
I don't see it anywhere in the funding request.
No, I don't either.
It's the district support.
Yes, yeah, yep.
That's different than asking this grant for money.
And I guess I'm trying to be real clear, like come January, I'm going to be asking for that data. How much funding did our Indigenous student organizations get from the district?
Right, so you'll have different things, like I don't even know the questions to ask right now.
Yeah.
For, do they charge for billing youth? Do they, you know what I mean?
Yep, I don't think they do. Yeah, I guess I just, when I read this, these presenters for the club.
Here's the deal though. If the presenter is coming and it's for all students in the classroom, that comes out of the district. We shouldn't be paying
Right.
for others to learn about us.
And I guess I'm focusing on.
Or if he comes, then you arrange for him to talk to your student group also, and then you contribute.
Yeah, I guess I'm reading this like we're asking the district to support the Indigenous student organizations, not classroom presentations, but specifically those after-school clubs. If they wanted to start an ACES club, an ABLE club, the Denfeld Indigenous cohort is already a thing that they should be getting support from. I guess.
I haven't seen anything come past for American Indian Education funding towards the Indigenous Council, so I assume they're using that funding so far, if they're.
That's something we'll have to work out with the district.
Okay.
Because right now, this is AIPAC, and
Right.
it's only one funding source.
Right.
There's multiple others that are involved, and it's just and that's why the strategic plan is important to have, because how much of Title I funds, Title II funds, that kind of stuff is the district using from other funds to support an American Indian program, not just this grant.
Not just this grant. I guess so. Here's where I would like to add in support for American Indian specific after school organizations, either their creation or their support. So if the Denfeld Indigenous Council wants to partner with some East students, that they would be able to access some funding out of here.
You want them to access your funding
To support
here.
for an Indigenous after school program? No, that's not appropriate. Okay.
Right now, we're asking how they will support. Not, I'll support you as long as you give me the money to do it.
Okay.
So we want to know what they do across the district.
Yep.
For their students. Because they always say all students.
Mm-hmm.
We wanna know,
Mm-hmm.
how are you supporting American Indian organizations?
Yep.
And we have to wait on that data.
We have to wait on that data to,
But
okay.
as soon as you say the district will support, how are they really supporting these after-school other activities if it's coming out of the funding that the students are generating specifically anyway?
Yeah.
Other students are getting it out of where?
Okay. Okay. I'm a little muddled on that, so I'm just gonna move on.
And we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's like it's not equitable.
Right.
That's what we wanna know.
Right. Well, because I know ACES was just in Minneapolis this year, and I know my daughter has been like, it'd be great to have an ACES group, you know what I mean? And that would have been something cool to send our Indigenous students to. But obviously that's already passed, and this is about this year, so I was just wanting, move on.
Yeah, anybody will support you as long as you pay them for it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that casually, but.
These celebrations of cultural expression supplies, so that's for the first bullet point on page 13. What, is that like t-shirts? Is that leather? What is that?
I would think like the powwow type thing, the dancing you were talking about, right? Or no?
What's
The celebrations of cultural expressions supplies, $1,750 under, right above the powwow.
Okay, sorry.
And I think it's attached to this first bullet point, achievement and more cultural expression. Yeah, activities.
Oh, that could be rock your mocks, it could be just various celebrations. So expressions like however we express ourselves, so maybe it's artwork or mural or, it goes with whatever activity. Music, yeah.
So are we buying them moccasins, or what's the 17?
It depends on what you're doing. The rock the mock ones was just an example. I don't know what activities the liaisons have planned for the year. Except for the Orange Teacher Day. I definitely know that one.
This one is saying school staff will plan, promote, and provide. The coordinator, principals, teachers, so it's pretty broad. I'm wondering, I guess, what the parameters are for what supplies are for cultural expressions.
I see what you're saying. So on page 13, the very first bullet point, the district will provide achievement and more cultural expression celebrations, and then we're including $1,700 for celebrations of cultural expression supplies in our plan here. The district will
Is it something we should ask Jeff, maybe?
Well, let's just make it more clear.
So like if we were talking about, like you were saying, we would like to promote dancing, right? Shawl dancing. That would be celebration of cultural expression supplies to get, you know what I mean, school color specific material, ribbon, and do kind of like a sewing circle where we pull out the pattern, you know what I mean? That type of thing.
Or the rock your mocks one too. So that it's kind of those two.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I get this right. Okay. So it's those activities. However, the school staff is to help promote the activity.
And it would be A&I who does it.
Yeah, they are to. So, because they're culturally specific, especially with the rock your mocks. So that's more of us on how, or it could be like you said, it could be a shawl. But the school staff is helping, like, support it. Like, here's some space. The students maybe are going to go out and do this one day.
Yeah,
That
like
kind
that
of thing.
music thing, they brought in an Indigenous musical artist last year. Jamie brought it in. I heard there was several other scheduled staff members assisting JP with the coordination of this.
Yep.
Is that professional development?
Oh, it was?
He offered it as a professional development too. That's what I mean, it's like sometimes it has to be kind of specific because then it's like for you, you're trying to maybe multitask some of your things with this. And then for other people, they're trying to fit in what they can in here. So it's like sometimes those lines get very blurred. So we need to know, and this is kind of like always like where we don't want us to plan, where we're double dipping, like this whole thing. It's like there's only 6 of us, so sometimes it's like that happens, or it starts to happen that way. So this is where we're looking for some of that clarity again, as staff people, as AIPAC, like even we want that clarity, like who is doing this, what is its purpose, what is the role, what goal are we meeting with this, what objective we're meeting with this, you know, and that kind of plays out in who's providing it, what funding what it's coming from funding wise, and you know, are we ticking it off on our list of things that we have to do, or are they ticking it off on things that they have to do as the district? Because the school can say, yeah, you can have it here. Does that count for them as a professional development that they provided on American Indians? That's that's where we kind of come sometimes into those things, where those things kind of get blurred. So,
Okay, number one, why would this program pay for professional development?
I think that's what she's saying.
it's a good sell when he pitches it, that she's going to come and do this, and by the way, she's going to spend an hour with teachers. So it's a great sell for him, you know, like when he's saying it to pitch his idea and everything like that. But I think like he reads this and he sees that there's professional development in here and blah, 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 and it doesn't say whose role it is to provide it. Then he's over here thinking he's doing something great by providing this for the kids and then getting her to meet with the staff. And so now he just provided some professional development to staff people. And, you know, it's just like...
I do know we only provided payment for Jacqueline.
Yeah, but for an individual who is trying to decipher some of this stuff and doesn't necessarily have some of the background, or even someone who's starting in their job, how would they clearly know what their role is here to do this if it doesn't necessarily clarify who? I could walk around and think, this is all my job as an Indian education staff person. And as I go to the principal, if he tells me sure, then like, did he just do his part? You know, by telling me sure you can do that here. This is where I think some of that sometimes, again, that's what I'm saying. This is like people knowing this plan, people knowing the difference, and making it clear in here whose role it is in there to do that. And as an individual, sometimes I have to multitask. I have to multitask things too. And so I'm not, you know, trying to blame anyone. I totally see where they would be doing the same thing. So that's why I think it, you know, that clarity again is like what we're looking for that. It's like so when the coordinator meets with TLE, he's going to be able to say, these are the things that you are responsible to provide with this plan here. My staff is going to do this stuff. But in addition to that, in the building, your staff needs to be responsible for this. Yeah, so that's kind of, I think, some of that sometimes, like it gets a little hectic.
Would it be good to say like coordinator and principals?
I think just for this one, like if this is what our department is responsible for, the American Indian Education Department will provide achievement and more cultural expression celebrations, you know, that would be okay activities.
Because site principals should be contributing their own budgets they have to this. Like I know Tom Tuscan's been pretty good about that.
Well, if you go to any principal right now, the first thing they will say is they have no money.
Yeah.
I've heard it the whole time. So.
Shoot, I tell
When they
people
had-
all the time, I
so,
ain't no budget,
yes.
I'm broke.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the money for that. So just like if that's us as a department, great, you know, that's fine. Because I feel like I don't know that I would really feel comfortable with the staff just going out and planning a powwow or like some cultural things. They're definitely going to come to me for guidance. You know,
And by the time I done, you should have been right off the committee anyway.
yeah. Yep. Or if they want to be like, you know, we need your support for this, we need some guidance from you, that's
been accustomed for a long time of being the educator, the supporter for everything, that it's hard to flip your mind on, like, no, we've been doing this for years, now it's time that you help support this, and this is what I need. I need you to get the word out, I need the space, I need
$1,000 for the feast. I need this.
yeah, I need to help feed your people.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes that we've always done everything plus, that to switch it around to say, it's the responsibility of the building that you're into. And also on this plan, Jeff or whoever the coordinator is for American Indian, they are responsible to do these things. Meaning having the meetings, making sure people are aware of their roles and responsibilities, bringing back the information to AIPAC, making sure you're having your monthly or bi-monthly meetings as a group, right? And those things can be fleshed out.
Well, I think when we're saying the district and AIE, that's not necessarily just liaisons.
No.
And like I feel like, so when we're saying AIE, it's not like just Jamie or JP and Mr. Bug, like it is also like Greg and the coordinator and, so like all these other people.
And that's it, because there's only other 2 people
And Anthony.
besides us.
And Anthony, and the new equity coordinator or director. I mean, there's other people that we forget. And then if you're meshed in with the achievement and integration, right? Who's on their staff? Why aren't they? So we have lots of questions later to really,
Hammer down.
yeah,
Flesh out.
flesh out.
Okay, so then, this is the celebrations of cultural expression supplies. Every action step specifically is just putting it on the district. Is this then intended to be proportional to the number of American Indian students in the district? We're expecting them to kick in the other 80% for these cultural expression supplies. How do we make sure that that is only going to American Indian students when it's going to be a district-wide initiative?
Well, some of them won't be. That's the thing.
Okay.
Some of them, so if you do the cultural expressions where you want to do rock the mocks, that might be an after-school activity for American Indian students. The support from the district would be making sure people are aware that they have the opportunity, the American Indian kids within the district.
Okay.
Because it doesn't say it's definitely going to happen just at Denfeld.
No.
And so when you have the Wasabi Conco say, my kid doesn't get any of these services.
Okay, so can we just put for American Indian students as the disclaimer on there, so it's not like I read that like it would be for district use on a whole on a whole group, and it's like they would have to kick in some proportion or to cover our non-American Indian. I get a little dicey with that statute there because I think, well, if you're going to kick it in for our non-natives, why aren't you kicking it in for our natives too? Why do we have to cover it? But that's a whole nother.
We have lots of activities.
Anyway, but I think, are we okay to move on to the Area 5?
The sentence, while unable to fund external programs for students outside of our program, we achieve these objectives through strategic involvement in school initiatives and committees. Can we put something more specific in there? Because this is
The objective on the top of page 14, last sentence. So last sentence.
What are the school initiatives and what are the committees and what is the strategic involvement? I mean, what is any of this?
Supposedly like TLE and stuff like that.
Should we name TLE?
Strategic involvement. While unable to fund these external programs for students, specifically for non-American Indian students. Am I interpreting that? We achieve these objectives through strategic involvement in school initiatives and committees.
So like the PD committee, PLE.
Well, we have supposed to be involved in,
All of that, yeah.
all the committees, regardless. Like, you should always have an invite to the table. Whether you choose to accept it is another thing.
So I guess that's kind of what, what we were talking about. We really want to promote our Indigenous voices in all PD planning processes, all mentoring opportunities, and increase Indigenous student leadership opportunities. Because we aren't actually, at this point, at least for the last 3 years, we have not been involved in that, our voices aren't part of that. Not in a strategic way.
Did you just rewrite that whole thing?
Did I just rewrite that whole thing? No.
Oh.
I was, so this little thing that me and Jamie were kind of, when we couldn't get it, I was like, okay, go fly. We were like, promote Indigenous voices in all PD mentoring opportunities and increase Indigenous student leadership opportunities. That could go into like action step or something. We don't have to rewrite anything.
Oh, I don't mind if we do. I just want to make sure we get it.
Yeah, I guess that is more trying to be like Teague was saying, being more specific, like include. And the other thing is, like, it's all good and say, oh, we're going to include parents, to review curriculum, to review PD opportunities. What parent has the time to do that? You know what I mean?
That's why I would say it, because we know that chances are it's going to be very few.
Yeah.
I'm not being cynical.
Pessimistic.
And what support is that parent going to get, right? Because our AIPAC members, you're not allowed a stipend to sit on AIPAC, you know what I mean? So if you're brought into these if you're strategically brought in to be involved in a school initiative or an other committee, how does that parent get support to do that other than saying, no, I'm overextended, I need childcare, I need transportation. If you're meeting virtually, like, do I get an internet stipend, right? So I can be involved.
Can I burst your bubble?
Yes.
Public schools were not designed to have parents.
I know.
You can run for the school board, sure. You can work in a school, sure. But if you have that involvement, we're not back in the day of middle class, wife stays at home, kids are, dad works. Maybe back then, but that was only a small percentage of,
Yeah.
people, really.
Right.
So it's not, the design is not necessarily
No.
to gather input.
Right. Exactly.
You're going to have, if you look at it in an economic sense, the ones that will show up and voice things are usually the ones in a higher socioeconomic class. So that's why we wanted at the state level to have supporting documentation in a language in the grant for maximum participation from our American Indians, especially when it comes to curriculum.
Right.
So, can it happen? Yeah, we struggle. Like,
Yeah.
getting people on. And then, you can go to Jamie's slumber party because she invited the whole class. And then I get there and, well, I'm calling mom. I'm going home because I wasn't really invited. She was just being nice and inviting me. How that kind of
Yeah.
works out. So, it's just things that we have to acknowledge and
Yep.
things to think about on how do we change it. And we only can change ourselves.
We can only change ourselves. So I guess I'm looking for strategic changes to promote the maximum involvement of our Indian parents who aren't going to be necessarily those economically affluent people, right? So like already our APAC has been asked to be involved in the other district, the brand new district-wide parental parent committee, because they don't have enough voices of color on it. And it's like, I saw the email and I was like, you don't listen to me anyway. And so I guess is like if we're not providing incentives for our Indian parents to be involved strategically in our plan as part of this objective, how are we actually going to get people to be more involved? I mean, right now there's a problem, so people are coming out. They're showing up. That's how Indian people do it. And then they fade into the woodwork when everything's going good.
It's a lot across the board, I see that. So there's a couple of things. One is, okay, so we know getting to and from places, right? And then sometimes you just have so many kids in the house too.
Mm-hmm.
So think of other ways that people can be involved that aren't necessarily the same, they keep doing it the same way because it works for somebody. So you have to think of a different way, what's a different way to try to do something that can be accessible to people. And typically what happens is it's the relationship building at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You want grandma's input, she's got her grandkids living with her, you know her, hey, bring my iPad, can you take this survey for me? I'll do whatever I need to do over here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that. So people always think like input is you're showing up all the time, but when you can't do that, what's another way?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where we can get better at doing it. But
Yeah.
it's definitely the relationship building.
Okay, and this kind of one touches on that, what you said earlier about PD. Why are we paying for PD? I like everything that's listed here. I think it's all good. The district should be doing these things. I just don't understand the $11,600 for.
Okay, so now you're under the budget. Contract for presenters, presentations, resources, and handouts. So you've had specific American Indian presenters here, like Dan. Yes.
Dan and him.
Yeah. So you've had specific ones outside of the PD for staff,
Mm-hmm.
outside like other things. So this is for any of your presenters that you have.
Well, the career pathways type event we had last year, where we had some indigenous tradespeople come in and speak to the students in the high school.
Did you give them a stipend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very specific things like that.
Okay.
Not professional development where
And we
if
had
Dan is coming in.
speaker and graduation.
Right.
So call it student development.
So if it's like Dan's coming in and he's maybe doing professional development for the liaison, per se. Let's just say that.
It's not district-wide.
Right,
PD.
so that's on us. But if Dan was coming in the next day, so we had him for one day, and then the district had him for the next day, then they would split the cost on that.
Okay.
I've seen them do that. Okay, yeah.
Cover transportation, meals for participating. Okay. And then I guess is this where like, because we can cover childcare is what we're always told at our trainings for parents to attend our meetings. That would increase that. That would be a strategic thing to increase our parental involvement here.
Right, and I think once the strategic plan is done too, and you'll see like all of these gaps of funding, it's easier to go after grants.
Yeah.
And you don't need necessarily a grant writer either, especially now with AI.
Yep.
But I know at the Ojibwe school, we've done it multiple times where the kindergarten teacher ended up with $1,000 grant for something.
Yep.
High school, we champion in the school
Okay.
Things to that,
Okay.
but you don't know what you need or who to ask for, hey, do you know anybody that's got a grant for? Until it's in that plan, and then you already have your wording and rationale.
Right. I guess that's what I'm looking for is
I'm paper lazy.
in this. So we have the MIA conference again in here, which I think is good. If we could put that $25,000 amount, just so we know, you know what I mean, where
Oh, you wanna make sure that it's,
that it matches, that our amounts match there, and then I guess I would like to include childcare expenses for parents in this area. I'm not sure what we have, or if you know what I mean.
we don't have any money. We spent the whole shebang.
Okay.
Unless there's more money we can find on an appeal.
Uh-huh.
So we could put in there, if we have to, if our student count is off and we make an appeal and receive more funding.
Well, there's a couple things that we kind of double dipped. It feels like here. Graduation banquet and graduation gifts, $30,000, and I thought I saw somewhere else it covered blankets at a different amount. Yeah.
That's for your graduation. Y'all spend.
Oh God, I know. That $30,000, I agree, is a good estimate for what we spend. Somewhere in here, it talked about blankets under incentives, and I was wondering, well, isn't that covered in that $30,000 for the graduation?
Well, that would be graduation, because the only students that would qualify for a blanket would be the graduate.
Exactly. I think you hear what I'm saying, but I'm just wanting to, and it might have been doubles done on an older plan that I was looking at, and I was like, oh, that's money that could get reallocated. The other thing is, when I looked at the budget, they allocated for Jeff's whole year salary, and he did not start until, let's see, August, September.
Overestimating from what I understood.
Mid-September.
Because a lot of the fringe benefits and things like that are going up now because of healthcare and insurance prices going up.
Oh God, I know. Yes, it is.
That is so outrageous.
Yeah, because he was part-time for a couple weeks in September, and then
He was definitely
full-time October, or September.
And then this half a month doesn't count. He said this is outside of his contract. So I'm just saying, I saw in that salary area just for that position, there is some extra funding that could go to childcare if that blanket thing got changed.
The blanket thing got changed. It just says, it now just says graduation banquet and graduate gifts. Like
Okay.
It's all just like one line item.
Okay.
Great, so at the end of, Amber's starting to get squirrel here. So at the end of 5 with the budget, so, if there are any unaccounted for, funds, we would like to utilize that for childcare at our AIPAC meetings.
Yes, that would be greatly appreciated.
And just keep in mind, too, like, that's a good thought, and then as we roll through a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Simone can do the budget on, so we can be up to date, because once April 1st comes, we wanna hone in on any funding
Yes.
that might not be spent. We better have a plan in place, and we're not making an amendment to the budget.
Nope. But that's why I wanted it in there. Because when we look at last year's $80,000 wasn't spent.
So, and is this, remember we talked about one for number 1 to move to goal 5?
become something that we just put off and put off and put off and put off until the very last minute, and then what happens is we have issues with getting hotel rooms, we have issues with registration, and like, it's in March, it's November, right? Like,
And it's
really
ridiculous.
figuring
Well-
out like who it is, because if we have youth sessions that
Well,
require
you need- that's one thing
pre-registration.
right now. You need to get out on who's gonna go.
Yeah,
Because knowing Ramona, the registration happens up a little later than what I ever feel comfortable. And this year they don't have OT yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a scramble for MIA this year too, so they might be a little later. So jump ahead.
they're already
So jump later, as be nice. So jump ahead, get your list together of who's gonna go. And also, you know, for students, because some students kind of get a little weird with travel, just make sure that you have alternates in place of it
Mm-hmm.
and have that ready to go. And then make sure that you have ready to where, when you do your booking of your rooms, you're ready to go. So once you're ready to go, because I know they're behind the ball already,
Right.
so.
So maybe just asking
just
our
get-
liaisons, like, can you identify students?
Yeah.
We've got space for 20.
I was like, that, I could totally do that if they'll be like up to grades and attendance and stuff. By the time it's time to go in April, will be a whole nother thing.
Well,
I mean, we could like say we're gonna take 10. I mean, I would be comfortable like saying 10, identifying them and identifying some alternates.
I think that would be a huge incentive too. Like, here's a here's a good trip,
Little carrots, right? No, you're attendant.
right? If you want to go,
well, and I think making
That
sure
would be
we
really
don't
good.
forget about the middle
Are
schoolers
we gonna
too.
behave?
Yeah.
well, that's where we would need parents
Well, that's right.
involved.
Well, some of them I would not consider bringing without their parent.
Yeah.
That's just the way
Right.
it's gonna go with
We are talking about you
their
too.
reputation.
Yeah. Well, we've had a couple new parents at our APAC meetings, and I would like to get them the opportunity. And I know some of them have younger students, and like, those should be first in line to if you want to go. I've gone 2 years in a row, and it's like I like it, and I'll go again. But I want other people to have that. So it's good. You get a lot of information. It's such a good conference. Anyway, okay. Last area. Can we move on? This one is I am.
Jen's here, say, can we move on? I'm ready.
All right.
Question.
Go ahead.
Since Jen Garbo left, you guys can't pass this tonight. So.
We can't pass it anyway according to our bylaws because we can only vote on a final draft. So.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time. I love hanging out here.
Actually, the one question I had on this was taken out. Ensure no supplanting. I would like in here that the other 50% of the it says district coordinator, AIE coordinator, comes from our Title VI funds. The other 50% of our office support specialists comes
Where are you seeing, where it's in?
narrative. AIE, last page 16, Area 6, ensure no supplanting with the ideas above. AIE funds for 50%. So it should be AIEA funds the positions for 50% of the AIE coordinator. The other 50% comes from our Title VI.
You don't know that? And
We do know that because
No,
that,
you don't.
oh, okay.
No, you don't, because that was a catch that I found, a couple weeks ago when I saw that it was 50-50. The federal regs are, you can't, blend Title VI funds with other American Indian funding. So.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
we have to work on whether it's 60% of the coordinator and 40% from somewhere.
Okay, that's it. Because the whole Title VI plan that got presented to us was all salaries and fringe.
Yeah, well, and I backed it up with,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so then you don't know that. And
Figure that portion out, yep.
Okay. So it might, okay, so if the plan we are approving, it will never be more than 50%.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
So the guidance is, 50% of the funding, can be used for salaries, no more than. However, if your district has other,
You have to do that whole supplemental.
then you can utilize more.
Uh-huh.
And the recommendation at that point in time is the state doesn't like to see more than 70% in salaries.
Uh-huh.
So like if your district has the Ojibwe language culture coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a couple of other things.
But we're told that doesn't fall under the American Indian Education Department. That's what we're told.
Some people have to work on,
Which never made sense to me.
and it's something we will work on. So yeah, and then some schools, they'll have, oh my gosh, some schools just really kind of rock it out. They out of their general funds will have additional liaisons or non-grant, I should say, non-grant, so general funds.
Uh-huh.
For it.
Like our course, but
Yeah, so like, yeah.
So, okay, here's where then I would like, if there is a set amount that, could we, instead of saying 50%, because I'm going to get stuck on that all year, can we put an amount that can come out of AIEA funds?
We can switch it up, and it has to be the percentage because that's the guidance from the state.
Okay.
So when they look through it, they want to see, 50, 60, whatever it is,
Yeah.
versus a number, because then they backtrack and have to look up how much you received.
Yeah. Because, like, I'm just looking at the Title VI and the state aid budget. I mean, what we allocate for the coordinator salary is the exact same amount on both. So, to me, that makes sense as 50%.
But Title VI funds.
That's something I didn't realize, so new information, yay.
So, anything else before I share some information? What's the information? You want to know? This is how you get students to pay attention. Just be aware that the Office of Indian Education at the Department of Education, they just let go their workers. Two were going to stay. Julian,
Julian Guerrero.
Yeah.
Guerrero.
You let my staff go, I'm going with them.
I saw that, yeah.
So, what does that mean in the Indian country? It could potentially be, I'm trying to be positive. The funding might go back to the tribes, and then we would be the fiscal agent for the
Title.
Title VI funds in the area. The only school that I know, or tribe that does it is Grand Portage, is they administer their own Title VI funds.
Yes, I knew that.
So how does it affect, I don't know.
Okay.
So there's just some unknowns.
Uh-huh.
And then who knows with the special education.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I just.
You're saying an MDE?
No.
It's Office of Indian Education.
Yeah. So the feds give the department, the states, the funding. So since tribes are not equivalent to the state, we have a direct relationship. We would also be doing what the state's doing, meaning we would get the direct funding. So once the middle person's cut out of it, you actually get more funding because of the administrative costs. Like, I would love to see the BIE school. Fine, I love you, but if we didn't have to spend all of that money on their administration costs, our school would be funded nicely.
All right, so it is, what time is it? Anyone?
Like,
7:21. I am officially calling this AIPAC meeting adjourned. Thank you all, Miigwich, for showing up, and Jen, thank you for your patience.